guess, as well. So what was the decision process to work this weekend, right? I mean, was that something you discussed or that was an option for you?
No, I mean, just I work pay-per-views, and he fights on pay-per-views, so we both work. I mean, I think a lot of people don't like that I do, like other wives and stuff. They're like, how do you do that? But it keeps me occupied. I actually really enjoy working when Joe fights because I have something else to focus on. So I'm actually like way calmer for this fight than I would be if I wasn't working, because that's all I have to think about. But I've been doing scripts and fight prep and studying and watching, all different fights that it actually helps me handle the entire process, because it doesn't get easier for me. It actually gets a lot harder. Every fight is like I'm more stressed and it's like crazier emotions for me. So it's a good distraction.
You're uniquely positioned to talk about it because you're a professional broadcaster and it's your loved one in there, right? I mean, how difficult is it? Because I don't think people necessarily understand how difficult it is to watch a loved one in there. Like, as much as we all love this sport, how difficult it is. So, I mean, what is that process like?
It's the person you love the most in the world, who you have watched sacrifice for months and do everything they can for this 15 or 25-minute period to go their way, and there's nothing you can do to help. It is the most helpless feeling ever. And like I said, I mean, Joe is the person I love the most in the world. He's the most important thing in my life. And to not have any control over the outcome and to just know how hard he has worked and all of these sacrifice and efforts that have been made, it's emotionally the most difficult thing I think I've had to do, as a wife, certainly, and probably in life, one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do. Because, yeah, I mean, there's also outside voices, right? So it's not just that, but it's then everybody in their opinion and DMs and this and that and Twitter, and it's so much that I just try and silence whatever I can, because I just can't handle it all.
I mean, obviously your professionalism has never been a concern, but do you ask to, like, don't make me speak about his opponent, or, don't make me do the walk-in intro for the opponent, or that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, that would probably be awkward. Yeah, so I think that one is just covered with my bosses. But no, it's never been really hard for me. I was his girlfriend back in the WEC. Long before people knew we were even dating. We were dating, we just hadn't made it public. And then once we told the Fertittas and Dana, and they were always so good about it, my thing was just to treat everyone like Joe. So, whether it's an opponent or somebody from, I don't know, not that Joe has any rivals, I was going to say from a rival team, but that's not really a thing. But it's just about the way I approach things is that Joe's on the other side. Whether it's actually Joseph or not, I want their loved ones to feel that I gave them the respect I want my own husband to get when he's in that position, or when they're speaking about him, whatever it may be. So it's very important to me that even though, for instance, the pay-per-view in December, sure, it wasn't like necessarily the people I would pick to speak about, Figueiredo or whatever it may be, but I still want to pay him the respects and be the most professional I can be and recognize his achievements and speak to him again as if it was situations were reversed. And so it's important to me, and I know that Joe appreciates it too, because we always want to be as professional and, just on that level. We always want to take the high road and things, and that's how I approach all of it.
Well, that's clearly the most important fight of the night, but there are 3 title fights happening as well.
Exactly.
Just curious, I mean, 3 title fights, each of them has such an interesting story, right? There's so much differences between them. Out of the 3, is there one that like just most captures your imagination or attention?
Yeah, I mean, I think seeing that face-off with the bantamweights, I was like, oh man, this has even more heat than maybe we recognized, but I am thrilled for this main event. I really am. I think Jan is maybe underrated sometimes in terms of how talented he is and what he brings to this matchup. And then how can you not love watching Stylebender all the time? And knowing that history is on the line there for Izzy, it adds something special to the matchup. So I'm intrigued by all 3 of them, but I'm really looking forward to seeing, how Jan comes out there and competes against a guy with a style like Israel, the speed of Israel, and really can history be captured once again.
And last thing for me, I mean, so much attention is being given to those 3 title fights. Are there any, people that told you a story or matchups or anything on the prelims or undercard that maybe people aren't paying attention to that you think, hey man, keep an eye on this?
Yeah, well, I mean, I know Dominic Cruz and Casey Kenny have gotten a fair amount of shine for their featured prelim spot, but I think that is going to be a really interesting matchup. There's a lot of ways this one can go, and I think it would be very telling for both of their careers and futures. But I'm also, it sounds like I just love the flyweight division, but I like the Tim Elliott Espinoza matchup. I think that one, they're both very athletic. They're both unique wrestlers. I think that one could be a really fun one as well.
Hey, Megan, over here to your left.
Hi.
How are you?
Great, how are you?
Good. I was wondering, what do you like about working here at the UFC Apex?
Well, that I can go home right after. I mean, for all of us that live in town, to be able to just drive home after the event in 20 minutes and grab some snacks on your way, that's probably what I like the most. But I love the intimate setting. I actually really enjoy it. Listen, you guys all know there's nothing like, a sold out arena and having the fans in there, but there is something special about this intimate setting and being able to hear the fighters if they're talking in the octagon, hear the cornermen so clearly, and really just take it all in, the emotions that come with it. They're very present here. There's no crowd to distract or no, walkout path that they're all the way across the arena and you don't see them. You get to see every part of this. And I think for me, that's really special. It's also easier to navigate on fight night for somebody in my position, like physically, to be able to be in one position and then the next with 2 minutes in between. It does make things easier, but I love the Apex. I would not be mad if we had every fight at the Apex from now on.
Yeah, from like a broadcast perspective, because it's kind of like a one-stop shop, right?
Yes.
There are several studios around, so you can get a lot of work done in a few hours.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that studio is absolutely incredible. It is state of the art. It is beautiful. I mean, when you walk in there, you're just like, wow, I get to host a show in here. Like, it's that nice. But then you have the action right here. So to have a studio show where it's not off-site, it's special. So if the desk analysts want to go sit octagon side, they can. Or the desk host can really be running into the athletes before or after they compete. It does add a layer to us to be able to say, hey, I saw the athlete 3 minutes ago or whatever it may be, plus actually be able to go from a world-class venue, which is inside there with the octagon, to a studio, to even like the viewing area on the second floor. It's all amazing.
When you're doing your stand-ups when fighters are walking out, there's no crowd in here, so can they hear you? Have they ever said anything like, oh, I heard what you were saying?
No, I actually have never thought about that. Now I'm gonna be nervous. Thanks.
Sorry.
Yeah. Wow. No, but they actually, when I do rehearsals, it's on the TV screens everywhere, and I didn't know that until a fighter told me that they heard me doing their walkout rehearsal hit. They loved it, so it made me feel good. But I never thought about that. I think maybe the walkout music drowns me out. Let's hope.
I think so. Thanks, Megan.
Thanks.
Megan over here.
Hi.
Haven't done this for a while. There's a lot of emotions, win or lose, and you've been there for so many post-fight interviews, either with Joseph or anyone else. Have you ever had a fighter's team just be like, you know what, Megan Olivi, I felt like you were being biased. I felt like you were rooting for the other one.
Never. I've literally never had that. I think probably all of you here know that I don't really conduct myself in that way. Joseph doesn't conduct himself in that way. I think if I was married to somebody who competed on the roster and maybe wasn't as well liked or well respected as my husband Joseph is, it would be different. But he kind of minds his own business. He says hi to everybody. He likes everybody, he respects everybody. So it's never been a problem. I mean, you're going back from WC, even him and Dominic Cruz when they fought, and Dom had a rivalry with Team Alpha Male, which Joe was on at the time. He and Joe were super cool, and they always have been since then. And I think it just is a difference maker that, I handle myself professionally, but also that Joseph does as well.
I think a lot of fans have always wondered, what is that moment like when Joseph has fought, you're working the event, and let's say, for example, Demetrius Johnson, he just beat Joe, and you talk to him. Just what's that experience kind of like? What's that interaction?
Well, I mean, it's one I don't like to think about, but I haven't actually had to do that. I've never had to be in that position. So, I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, every time I work and Joe fights, he wins. So it's been, I've never had to be in a position where someone just beat him and I had to do a post-fight. So I hope that does not happen on Saturday either.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Right.
Hi.
Real quick, thoughts on just Dominic Cruz's return in general? As a fellow broadcaster, you're watching him make the walk again.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited for his return. Dominic does his homework, and I think that's what makes him a good fighter and a good broadcaster. He does watch all the film, and he's learning, and he's growing, and he's taking things away from what other people are doing, and he's implementing that into his game. I'm excited to see how he returns. I actually really like that position on the card for him because I feel like, it's ESPN, it's a huge platform, but without the added pressure of having to be, and I don't know if Dominic feels this way, but to not have to have the, a title on the line or kick off the pay-per-view, right, or whatever it may be. I think it's a lower pressure scenario, which all he has done is fought for a belt for God, how many years now? So I think it's a great position, and it allows for a lot of different things that maybe a main event or a title fight wouldn't.